When we found out I was pregnant, I felt two things at once. First, the real, quiet happiness. But at the same time, also a bit of a sense of panic. Because it was just the two of us. Well, three of us if you count my little Trixie. And this channel is going to be all about that. It's going to be about two busy, remotely working professionals in Nottingham, going through a pregnancy, preparing for a baby, and then living with a baby, all without any family to call nearby. In this video, I'll give you a little bit of an intro into how we made the decision, then the practical plan, of course the money conversation, and I'll definitely link more videos about the money conversation later on as well, and then really the emotional reality of it all as well. We live in Nottingham and our families are in the Czech Republic and Brazil. So there are definitely no parents or grandparents to call. That would be just 10 minutes away when we are in the middle of the night and have no idea what we are doing. My partner Felipe and I have been talking about having a baby for quite some time now. But every time we are close to making this decision, something stopped us. I'll think about it as the village problem, right? Everyone says that it takes a village to raise a child. So this whole notion weighs very differently on you when you know that you don't have a family around. My sister, for example, living back home, raised all her 3 kids with a lot of family around. Parents and grandparents just 20 minutes away, living in a different city nearby. And whenever there was something needed, everyone just shows up on your doorstep. So for a long time, I felt like this might be the right reason to wait. Wait for the better circumstances. Perhaps there might be a time where we move to Brazil or we move to Czech Republic to be closer to the family. But after many years of doing that, I felt like I've just been avoiding the decision and almost feeling like I'm running out of time and I don't see myself moving out of the UK, at least not anytime soon. So I asked myself, am I just avoiding this problem overall? What if we can just make it happen with everything that we have here right now? And if so, how can we make it happen? And once I reframed it that way, then everything shifted. And so we decided to stress test everything. Money, time, the logistics of it all. And the first question we really wanted to answer is, how do we make sure that this baby has always one parent at home, at least for a full year? And what helped us to make this emotional decision was also a full-on spreadsheet mode. That's how I deal with uncertainty. I go full-on into a planning mode. And so here is what we landed on. I get 16 weeks on full pay and Felipe gets 20 weeks on full pay. I know we are incredibly lucky because I know that many dads don't get this. But it is important to establish what your reality looks like. So we mapped that out and built almost the whole year around it. Our idea is we start together, both of us at home, for the first 7 weeks, not working. That felt really important, not just for the baby, but for us, stepping into this new version of our lives at the same time. After 7 weeks, Felipe goes back to work. But this is where it gets different. He's still in the house because, remember, we are both working remotely. And I'm on leave, he's working, and we are figuring it out under the same roof. Then, when the baby is around 8 months old, we flip. I go back to work, and my partner takes over solo for 13 weeks. 13 weeks of him as the primary carer. And that was entirely my idea, for the record, and he didn't want to miss it. So on paper, one of us is home for almost the entire first year. No childcare costs for that stretch, and the baby always has a parent close by. And we both get a real meaningful chunk of leave. It took about 4 weeks or evenings of spreadsheets and planning, but once we saw it written down and once we decided how much unpaid leave I'm going to take, it all looked more manageable. More than manageable, actually. I mean, for us, it looked pretty good. The other thing we tackled was money. Money for us is very important to make sure that we feel secure to support our growing family. Overall, we live well below our means. We work remotely, we live in Nottingham to save costs, and our mortgage is pretty low. So we went to basics with the baby as well. I asked myself, what does a baby really need? Not what the industry tells you that a baby needs. What does your baby really physically and emotionally needs? Somewhere safe and clean to sleep. Of course, milk, breast formula, nappies, and a safe environment. And a little bit of clothes. But that's really it, if you think about it. At least for the first few months of the baby's life. Don't fall into a trap of buying too many things. Everything else, if you think about it, really sits on a spectrum of, nice to have, all the way to unnecessary. And I'm going to do a separate video on that in how I'm preparing the nursery together, shared with my office, and the things that we definitely bought, the things that we maybe got as gifts, and then also the things that we decided not to buy, and the things that we decided to buy secondhand to save money. And the short version is, we generally made a list of the fundamental things and the things that are nice to have, and then we went around, decided what things we think that we need to buy new, then what things are going to be secondhand. And we are not doing this on nothing, of course, but the key thing is we refuse to spend money on things that the industry or someone else is telling you to spend money on, just to look good or just to have something new that anyway is going to expire after 6 months when the baby has grown up. Now, on to the emotional reality of things. There are some things I want to be honest with you about. There are moments when it hits me that when I'm in labor or after I've given birth, my mom won't be there to see the baby. And that can be definitely really hard to think about. That the first time she's probably going to see her grandchild is going to be on a FaceTime. Especially harder for me because my dad has already passed away, and so my mom is really, really, really important for me in my life. So the reality is that in some of the first few days where I'm pretty sure I'll be really overwhelmed, and I would definitely appreciate her support and her being there, she won't be there. It will be just the two of us. And that can be really hard to think about. But I think that's real and that's okay. And you can really grieve the version of you that you had imagined would be, having your family there to support, and still be really certain that the version of me that I'm going for, the version of the plan that I'm going for, is the one that really needs to happen for me in the circumstances I'm in And that's the best plan of action. I'm really confident that we now have that in place. So what I'm trying to do right now is to really rethink also what support means. Build a little bit more of a network in Nottingham. We booked some baby classes in the hospital where I'm going to give birth. I think that's going to be definitely important, not just for the education purpose, but also for making new friends and meeting parents that are about to give birth at the same time as you. And not just with the local hospital, we actually decided to also pay for NCT classes. NCT is a charity that basically organizes baby classes for parents that are about to give birth at a similar time in your local area. We are doing these in May, and I'll let you know how they were and if they were useful to us. And it's definitely not the same as having the full family around, but it is real. And it makes a big difference. And actually, this is going to sound really strange, but I think not having your full support network of family around has actually made us more intentional about the preparation for the baby and the planning. And I really feel that because of that, we can truly do it all without having to rely on anyone. Everything that we do is really, really intentional. And the support that we are seeking is very much a conscious decision. So on a good note, I think this is really, really positive and will be major for our personal growth as well. So that's our story. And this is how we got here. Today I'm 27 weeks pregnant with a plan that we truly believe in, but no idea what we are really in for. And I'm starting this channel because when I was looking for content of similar people like me, I couldn't really find it. So I decided that it might be helpful for someone else as well. For someone doing it in the same way that we are, without family nearby, perhaps working remotely and sharing the leave properly and looking for just a little bit of brainstorming or ideas of how others think about it and how others do it. And so I'm going to document this all by myself, but honestly, the real thing, not just the highlight reels. So the planning for the pregnancy, how we are doing after we give birth, and then also what is happening and how we are planning life around the baby afterwards. So if there's anything here that I spoke about that you think you'd find useful or helpful, please subscribe and comment and let me know about your experience. Thank you so much for being here on day 1. It means a lot more than you can imagine. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.